How you doing, everybody? This is McKinnon Baxter, organicwarfare.com, and I'm sitting in the studio today with Richard Shafsky. This is going to be part two of chemtrails and geoengineering. How is this affecting your health? And Richard, the reason that we're going to, well, I should say what we're going to focus on in part two is we're going to dig a little deeper into the protocol itself and the remedy and explain a little more about what each supplement and each ingredient here does to help reverse the damage that's going on, because people had questions about, what is this actually doing to my body. So I appreciate having you back, and let's jump right into this. So let's just start from the top. So drink number one, I'm assuming it's drink number one because it's the most important drink of the day. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think that's probably pretty fair to say, especially in light of what occurred today, McKinnon. Up here in Bozeman, Montana, where we're looking up at the sky, this morning at about 10:40, we saw what appeared to be B-1 bombers. These are the Delta-shaped aircraft. We know them as stealth aircraft. Definitely military. Were laying out chemtrails, and they were doing it very obviously. In fact, I think you got a couple pictures of them.
I did.
And this calls to attention that we are being sprayed, and if we understand what the composition of the sprays are, then that's probably going to help enlighten everybody, and it'll help me respond to why do we want to start the day out with this drink.
Right.
And when we take a look at the composition of the chemtrails, which are barium, strontium, aluminum, fluoride, and then there's osmium and heriot in there, we now have what are known to be retrovirus components. Okay, these are bugs. All of these things are weaponized. They act as a desiccant. But what it does, and what everybody should understand, is that we have some vital, critical elements that are part of our system that are getting displaced, removed from our systems. They're being blocked from their activity taking place correctly in our systems by these chemtrails and what their composition is. So we're going, and when we look up in the morning and we see, okay, the chemtrails, and if we have a basic understanding of what that is, the chemtrails that I just went over, barium, strontium, aluminum, fluoride, and viral particles, then we have to say, okay, what is that displacing in our system? Well, this is what the first drink is designed to do. If we start out, we're going to take 8 to 10 ounces of warm water. The reason why we want it to be warm water and not cold is because we're going to put 1 to 2 teaspoons of raw honey. Now, raw honey is honey that has not been processed, it has not been pasteurized. It still contains enzymes that are very, very important for us to be able to work within our systems. The honey was processed by the bees. We don't have to digest it. It's all ready.
So just to ask a question there. So if you're buying processed honey or refined honey, the enzymes are gone.
The enzymes are gone, and you're not going to get the benefit of them.
Okay.
And we need these enzymes not only for assimilation and digestion, but also these enzymes participate in what we call metabolism, right? And metabolism is, in this case, with the honey, it takes place throughout our whole system. It's another word for combustion, okay? Our central nervous system, our brain, runs on sugars. Mm-hmm. They have to be sugars that have an enzyme attached to them, which the raw honey provides, okay? So you want to be able to dissolve it into the warm water, and then with that, we're going to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Now, McKinnon, as we have talked about, I use Bragg's. It's called With the Mother. Now, again, with the mother, what is the mother? Well, the mother is the enzyme, non-pasteurized. That's why we want to use it with these live enzymes in the apple cider vinegar, because what's going to happen is those enzymes that are in the vinegar are going to combine with the enzymes that are in the raw honey. And by the way, honey will last 5,000 years if it's not been pasteurized and still is ready to go to work with you. So is the vinegar. Okay, these things fight off the bugs, and they act as a natural deterrent to the bugs that are coming down onto us that we're being assaulted with every day in today's world, be it Lyme, MRSA, all the things that we're being sprayed with. Okay, we've got to have something that eats them up and provides something into our system that acts as a defense. Well, the raw honey and combined with the raw apple cider vinegar, those enzymes are going to do just that. They're going to become part of our defense system. And into that, we're going to put 5 to 7 drops of iodine. Now you can use, and I would recommend 3 to 5% on strength. Okay, you can use Lugol's iodine, Nascent Iodine. The main thing is to get that iodine in combination with the raw honey and the raw vinegar, because what that's going to do is, see, the barium, strontium, aluminum, and the fluoride that's in the trails, along with the different bugs that are being put out there, displaces the iodine in our systems. Iodine is probably the most critical element we have for correct function, metabolic function, adrenal function, neuro function that we have in our systems. Now, it also serves another role, and that is that it goes right straight to our thyroid. And thyroid, well, that's the energy gland. That's the gland that we derive all of our, quote, life force energy from. And it is dependent upon the presence of iodine. Now, every 17 minutes, our body's entire blood supply passes through our thyroid gland. In that 17-minute pass-through, it is the iodine that's going to help control and take care of the bugs that might be coming in that are trying to do us harm. But that's also where the iodine gets put out into the bloodstream, acts as a purification agent, but also will work with enzymes that are from the vinegar and the raw honey to help all of our metabolic or combustion processes taking place. Okay, and McKinnon, when we're talking about these, the Lugol's iodine, for example, and the Nascent iodine, and most people are familiar with the iodine, for example, that you put on your skin, what our moms and grandmothers used to put onto our skin when we got a cut or a rash or something like that. And that's for topical use. It will absorb through the skin. It will be beneficial for you. But the Lugol's iodine, the Nascent iodine, these are designed, and by the way, the Lugol's remedy goes back to the time of Hippocrates. Okay? That was 400 BC. Wow. And in fact, Dr. Hippocrates wrote about the iodine back in 400 BC, and it was put in, he recognized at that time that this was one of the vital elements. Now, we used to be able to get iodine, for example, from seaweed, from kelp, okay? And there is a brand out there, it's called Dulce iodine. The Dulce iodine does come from seaweed, it does come from kelp. However, in today's world, if it comes out of the Atlantic Ocean, you might be somewhat safe for it. If it comes out of the Pacific Ocean, I would recommend you don't do it, because the Pacific Ocean is getting hit real hard by radiation, cesium, barium, strontium, some of those very same things that are in the chemtrails is getting hit with Fukushima. Okay, but iodine is a natural supplement. It is a natural element, and it is one of those components that is not produced by us, but we do have to use it. Now, we used to get it through our food. We used to get it through our seafood. It was very present. It used to be very, very present in our soils. With the depletion that has taken place over the last couple hundred years, our soils and our ocean has been depleted. Our seaweed has been contaminated. So today, these forms of iodine, they can still be used internally. And yes, I have been asked the question periodically as to, well, why can't I just use the topical applied iodine? You can do so. However, what I'm talking about is this drink that we have to take in the morning because we are under daily assault with the chemtrails, okay? So when you look up and you see those, you've got to get that iodine in. You don't want it to be transdermal. Put it into the drink because it will combine with these enzymes. It will go directly to your thyroid, and that is where the disinfection will take place. This is where the benefits of the iodine will be most noticeable immediately.
One question, Richard. Some of these supplements here, they're liquid form, obviously. Is there any problem with making this into a tea? I mean, would the heat cause a problem for any of it?
Cause no problem at all.
Okay.
You can put this into, in fact, you can put it onto your food. You can put it into a tea. You can steam it. You can boil it. The iodine is going to hold together.
Okay.
It's been present in hot and cold for millions of years.
Okay.
It will not break down due to temperature. Okay? So take it in if you want to have it daily into your other drinks. If you want to put some under your food, we put it into the bowl of water for the cats and dogs. Okay? Because they need this too. And by the way, all of our livestock, all of our pets, they're suffering from the same ill effects that we are suffering from. Now, in combination, and we go here now, I also recommend that, and by the way, I'm not a doctor, okay, so these are just suggestions and recommendations.
Sure.
But I would never recommend or suggest something that I haven't done myself also. I want everybody to clearly understand that. And I want everybody to take a look at also including in this first morning drink 1 tablet of hydrochloric acid. You can buy this at the health food store, 500 to 650 milligrams, or 1 to 2 milliliters of hydrochloric acid in a liquid form. Now this has been diluted, so everybody please understand we are an acid-based functioning system. And things are not supposed to work on the alkaline side, which seems to be the favorite of the Healy-Feelies out there today, is alkalize, alkalize, alkalize. Well, you know, the God that put us together made sure that we were acid metabolizing. And I'm not about to go up against and criticize that. Okay? So now we have to understand the barium, the strontium, the aluminum, and the fluoride, as well as displacing and harming, eliminating those enzymes that we need that we're going to replace, as well as replacing the iodine in our systems. Right? It's also taken out the hydrochloric acid. So when you include this hydrochloric acid, and by the way, the hydrochloric acid is not just important for digestion. It is absolutely necessary for the breakdown of all of those nutrients that we need in our food. When you eat something solid, it's got to break down. It is the hydrochloric acid that does that. But hydrochloric acid is also the acid that transports oxygen, okay, out to every cell in our body. Hydrochloric acid is the acid that has to be present in our muscle tissues in order for those tissues, in order for the muscles to correctly function. This takes place with an ionic charge, and that charge is carried by the hydrochloric acid. I would remind everyone the most important muscle in our body being our heart. If you want to have correct function of your heart, you have to have the presence of hydrochloric acid in there. Now, you know, I know you exercise, you go out. When you do that workout, and after you've done that workout, sometimes we have that muscle soreness, okay? Well, what has happened is you've used up the hydrochloric acid, and then lactic acid comes in, and carbonic acid comes in. Now, these are natural acids for our body too, but they're not supposed to be in our muscle tissues, okay? And when they come in, oh my gosh, then we start to have muscle soreness take place. If that muscle soreness and stiffness occurs in our heart, you get to have a heart attack, okay? So you want to replace the hydrochloric acid right along with the iodine. They work hand in hand together. Okay?
Okay.
Then we come up and we've got 20 to 50 milligrams of DATA. And everybody says, well, you know, what is that?
What does that stand for?
Yeah, well, we won't even get into what it stands for because the pronunciation
Yeah.
is some difficult, even for a guy like me.
Hence the name
Okay.
DHEA.
Right. But DHEA, it's an adrenal hormone, and it sits in our adrenal glands, which are perched right on top of our kidneys. Okay? Now, DHEA is the precursor for those hormones that are necessary for the function of our systems. For example, in us men, we need the DHEA to act as a precursor for the development of testosterone. In a woman, the DHEA acts as the precursor for the development of estrogen. If we take away the DHEA, we're not going to have correct adrenal function. We will not have the hormones present and necessary to help assist our hydrochloric acid or our iodine and those enzymes that are in the apple cider vinegar and the raw honey. If that's not there, then we're going to be in real deep, dark straits. We will not be able to function as men and women. Okay? Our immune systems will collapse. The bugs will get to come in. We're done. And the last thing I have included into this first drink is fulvic acid, which is ionic minerals. Now, fulvic acid is, again, these are minerals that are on the acid side. Okay? We also have, and it comes from the earth. Okay? It comes from humic acid. And this is where there's been a decomposition that has taken place in plant material, etc., for several millions of years. It's concentrated. Now, these your fulvic acid spread includes the 72 natural trace minerals that we need for the correct function of our systems. If we have that mineral depletion take place, then we're not going to function, literally, and the line's going to go flatline on us. Okay? Now, again, barium, strontium, aluminum, and fluoride displace those natural trace mineral elements that we're supposed to have in our system. Okay? This is the main compositions of the chemtrails. So every day now we are being sprayed. So every day we're going to have to start out with a drink like this that's going to get those essential nutrients into us so that we can go along and survive not only that day, but hopefully live some long lives.
You know, it's just interesting as I'm looking at this. I think that people forget that all of these, 1 through 7, they're supposed to be in your body daily.
Yeah, they're supposed to. And see, we used to take them in our food,
Yeah.
our water,
Right.
okay, in our atmosphere. These were the things that we ingested or we assimilated every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be in our body in order for us Homo sapien mammals to be able to exist. Well, these are the very things that are getting kicked out of our body.
So it's probably safe to say that chemtrails aside, this would be an awesome drink to take just because of the GMOs out there, the fact that we just don't have the nutrients in the food that we used to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I would recommend this to be part of everybody's diet now on a daily basis. And if we go back just 1 or 2 generations, these nutrients used to be added into our food supply if you were in an area where there was a depletion, for example, but it was always put in with our livestock, okay? Because the early farmers and the early ranchers understood that if you want to have a healthy herd of cows producing healthy milk, okay, you wanted to make sure they had iodine. Then you wouldn't get the metastasis that takes place in the udders.
Mm-hmm.
You would have the correct bacteria, the correct flora and fauna would be in the milk, which was at that time unpasteurized raw and was actually a good food source. Okay. Now there's a couple other things with the apple cider vinegar and the honey that I want to just touch on real quickly, and that is that we also have a requirement of potassium and magnesium. Okay. Now the potassium and magnesium That's also getting displaced by the chemtrails. Okay, these are critical salts that are necessary for the correct function, once again, of our systems. Great natural supply source, the apple cider vinegar and the raw honey. Okay, it's going to put these vital organometallic salts into our systems that are now no longer provided into us. So, yep, you want to do this drink every day. The GMO foods, notice that it doesn't say, and I just used an incorrect term there. I said GMO food. Well, it's a GMO organism. That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
No food.
Yeah.
And the composition of the GMO, those organisms, they're also held together with the chlorofluoro compounds that are also holding together these very corrosive and debilitating heavy metals that are in the chemtrails. And by the way, Mother Nature's best chlorofluoro heavy metal chelator, that means it'll bind with it and help get it out of our system, is iodine. Okay? And hydrochloric acid works with the iodine to break down these toxic elements that are coming into us, bind them up, which we're going to get to in our drinks later in the day. And we'll go to drink number 2, okay? And once again, this is going to be with clean water, and with clean water we mean no fluoride, no chlorine in it. And you're going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of zeolite clay or bentonite clay or diatomaceous earth.
And some people have been asking which one is better.
Well, I'm not going to put one as better than the other. They serve together to provide what I'm going to call chelating agents. And chelating agents mean that, okay, the zeolite clay, for example, this will bond with ionized or radiated heavy metals. If you're around Fukushima or Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island, zeolite clay was immediately put into the locals' diets, okay? But today we're getting those very same radioactive isotopes are hitting us.
Sure.
The zeolite clay will bond with those and help flush them out of the system. They work in conjunction with the iodine and the hydrochloric acid. Now, the bentonite clay is also very, very effective for radiation, or what we'll call ionized heavy metals, which the chemtrails are. And people say, well, Richard, how are they getting ionized? Well, I want to call attention that they're up in the high atmosphere. We've had degradation take place of our ozone layer. Okay? That ozone layer is now shredded. We're in a solar system, and the biggest nuke in the solar system is our sun. Okay? So we now have radioactive particles that are coming through what used to be our protective layer, ionizing or radiating the barium, the strontium, the aluminum, and everything else that's up there onto it. It's coming down onto us, and we've got to bond with this stuff and get it out of our systems. Now, I also have here diatomaceous earth. Now, the clays are a little bit different than the diatomaceous earth. The diatomaceous earth comes from what are called diatoms. These were little tiny amoebic size organisms that lived in the oceans. And when the oceans dried up, we have trillions of tons of these diatoms left. Okay? The wonderful thing about the diatomaceous earth is that they're silica-based generally. Now what happens is silica is the transport vehicle for all of our minerals, okay? And so when the diatomaceous earth breaks down in our system, the silica will transport all of those nutrients out to every cell in our body that we need to have functioning with the presence of the correct ionic trace minerals, okay, which we took at our first drink in the morning, that fulvic acid. And when the diatomaceous earth breaks down, it leaves kind of a little cage, and that little cage has a charge on it that will do 2 things. Number one, it'll bond with the ionized heavy metals, the barium, strontium, aluminum, fluoride, chlorofluoro compounds. It'll bond with those. It'll cage them up so that they can be eliminated out of your system through your bowels. Right? The other thing that happens there is the diatomaceous earth is a monster against parasites and against some of these organisms that we know to be very, very harmful to us. That includes those things that we normally get hit with, that we call it food poisoning, for example. Okay, the diatomaceous earth will bond with those toxins, help eliminate them out of our system. I also have included here a teaspoon of liquid chlorophyll. The chlorophyll holds a positive charge on an oxygen wavelength. You know, when we look outside, we see all the green that's out there. Well, the green comes from the chlorophyll. We're told eat your green leafy vegetables because you've got to get your chlorophyll. Well, in today's world, we need that chlorophyll because, again, it will provide that positive charge on an oxygen wavelength. That's what our system operates on, okay? Positive charge, oxygen wavelength. But it also kills fungus, virus, bacteria, those things that can be very, very, very fatal to us, in fact, if we get them in. And you'll notice that the green leafy vegetables, the bugs don't come out and attack them at night. The reason why? Because they've got that positive charge on an oxygen wavelength. Has the same effect inside us. Helps protect us. Natural part of our immune system.
You know, one question I have about that, I really have about all of these different supplements, can you take too much?
Well, not really, not really. You know, we're now being depleted every day on these, okay? And we're not receiving these supplements that are so necessary to us now in our daily food supply, right? Mm-hmm. And really overdosing, I would recommend, and what I have up here is everybody take the daily recommended dose that's on the bottle or on the jar or on the tube of these supplements. Okay? Right. Read it, look at it, take it. Mm-hmm. And you'll be well within limits. And what I tell everyone today is, you know, since we're under daily depletion, then we've got to daily supplement. And if you go with the recommended dosages, you're going to be just fine.
Sure. Okay.
And so we come now to 1 to 2 teaspoons of what is sodium ascorbate. That's vitamin C. Now that's the mineralized form of vitamin C. And
versus what would be the other form?
The other form is ascorbic, BIC acid. Okay. Now the sodium ascorbate, it is the vitamin C, the mineralized form of vitamin C. It has a very long shelf life. Okay. And it is immediately assimilated into our bloodstream. In fact, it is sodium ascorbate that is used as an IV intravenously. Vitamin C being that critical element that, you know, supports our immune system, and without vitamin C, which we do not manufacture, okay, we need to supplement that in daily. I would also recommend, and in our household, the ascorbate, the sodium ascorbate, is also used to brush your teeth with, okay, because it'll tighten up the gums. It'll kill all the bad bugs. It'll give good support to your immune system. It'll help prevent tooth decay taking place. And again, vitamin C is depleted by the barium, strontium, aluminum, the chlorofluoro compounds that are in the chemtrails. Mm-hmm. Right? So I recommend the sodium ascorbate. However, if you take the ascorbic acid, that's fine too. Okay, but for my purposes, and for example, for these other things like being able to brush your teeth with them, because you don't want to use the fluoridated toothpaste, you know.
Right.
That's why I say sodium ascorbate. That form of vitamin C covers a multitude of sins that are being perpetrated against us. Right? Okay. Now we come to CoQ10. CoQ10 is necessary for correct cardiopulmonary function. Okay. It works hand in hand with the hydrochloric acid with the DHEA to make sure that our heart pumps correctly. You know, it's supposed to go boom, 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 boom. If you take away the CoQ10, you get arrhythmias, and you'll also end up with what are called half beats, where your heart just goes boom, boom, instead of boom, boom. And in order to keep that heart rhythm correct, this is what is known as the rhythm. We all have what's called a pacer in our heart that gives us the correct heart rhythm. That is controlled. One of the main things that helps control that is CoQ10. And again, CoQ10 gets displaced, depleted out of our system with the chemtrail. Okay. Now we're going to come to vitamin B12. Now, I have B12 selectively here. However, the entire B group is very, very necessary. And B12 works in conjunction with folic acid, which is also on our list. And they combine with the CoQ10, okay? And these help enhance our immune system. They act together to synthesize the hemoglobin, which is the red blood cells. The red blood cells, that's the heme of the hemoglobin that comprises the red blood cell. That's what carries oxygen throughout our system, okay? If we don't have the correct transport of oxygen, we're going to have well, we're not going to be able to be alive. Now, the B12 in combination with the folic acid, also in combination with the CoQ10, has a tremendous effect on cellular longevity, but also on cellular replication, okay? If we can't have correct cellular replication, then these cells that get, again, corroded and depleted and taken out of us, our body's immune system cells and all these cells that are necessary to carry oxygen, if they go down, if we don't bring these things back on in, we're not going to have any cellular replication taking place. And by the way, if we're building muscle, okay, these are what you want to pay attention to, because you will not have cellular replication if you don't have these going into your body. You'll have cellular breakdown. And it will be, you will suffer from degenerative effects, which is what these chemtrails are doing. So these are kind of the anti-aging ones that we want to work with. And in the middle there, I have vitamin D3, right? Now, D3 works for cellular and central nervous system enhancement and, again, replication. We get D3 usually through sunlight. Okay? Well, when the sunlight now has to come through the barium, strontium, aluminum, chlorofluoro compounds that are in the chemtrails, we're not getting the benefit of the manufacture of D3. See, that's what it takes place in our body. It's kind of a photosynthesis thing that has to take place. So since we're being denied the correct sunlight wavelengths that are necessary for cellular replication, you want to now take it as a supplement, because we're being denied the correct sunlight wavelengths with these heavy metals that are being sprayed upon us. Okay? Now, also included in here, I have zinc, and the zinc is very beneficial for us men, for example, for our prostate and our testosterone. In a woman, it doesn't quite serve that purpose, but it does work in man and woman. It stimulates what is called nucleic acid, and this is what takes place through photosynthesis. Okay, without the presence of zinc, we're not going to have those photosynthesis things take place in our body that we need for cellular replication. Okay, and we're not going to have correct action with our hormones. Now, in a man, it works with testosterone. In a woman, it'll work with estrogen, although copper is a little more influential there. But zinc is important to both genders for the correct activity of your other vitamins and of your different acids, and for the vitamin C, correct action with the zeolite clays and the diatomaceous earth. they are all going to be dependent upon the presence of zinc in order for these correct processes to take place. And then number 10 on our list is calcium, magnesium. And again, all of these I'm recommending on the daily recommended dosage. Okay. Now, the calcium, magnesium, critical for the correct acid-alkaline balance in our systems. Correct metabolism is dependent upon calcium and magnesium. In other words, for vitamin C to work, you've got to have the presence of the calcium and the magnesium. If you don't have the calcium and magnesium presence, then you're not going to have correct cellular replication take place, and that includes our bones, okay, our skeletal structure. So without calcium, magnesium, in the presence of these other elements, we're going to have skeletal breakdown, and that's where you start to feel the joint aches and pains. We start to get degraded in there. And again, this is one of the quote benefits of the toxicities of the chemtrails. Okay, and so we do have to replace these things into our systems on a daily basis. It'll help take care of the aches and pains, but it'll also help maintain our skeletal structure, which is critical and vital to us. Hey, now, McKinnon, now we're coming up to later in the day, and we've got drink number 3. And by the way, this one you can certainly take with food. You can include any of the others with food also. Okay, but 1 tablespoon of a liquid probiotic. This can be taken with each meal. If you don't have the liquid probiotic, you can certainly use the powdered form of it. But the probiotic is just the opposite of what we know as the antibiotics. Okay. The probiotics, Acidophilus, Lactobacillus, those are the ones we're most familiar with, okay? Critical, necessary, vital for correct digestion, for correct metabolism, but also these are the good bugs that eat the bad bugs, okay? And they are very, very susceptible to being depleted by, again, the barium, the strontium, the aluminum, and the chlorofluoro compounds that are in our food, in our water, and now in our atmosphere. It takes out the probiotics. These are synergistic with us. We are probiotic, okay? When you eliminate the probiotics, you're taking away life, right? We have to have these organisms in us. So, you want to have your probiotics with each and every meal. If you can't have it with each and every meal, make sure you take something in each day. And down at the local health food store, it's the best place to get it.
What about these the probiotics that are in foods like yogurts and that sort of thing?
Excellent forms. However, you don't want to have the pasteurized yogurt, okay, that is also filled up with artificial sweeteners and flavorings, because those will take the probiotic aspects of it out. And this is where I would recommend, if you're going to have yogurt and you want to get the right Acidophilus and Lactobacillus in there, you want to go with, for example, the Greek goat yogurt. Excellent for you. Sauerkraut juice, excellent source of natural probiotics. And, again, these used to be very available in our food supply systems. Today, not so much.
I just want to mention sauerkraut juice must taste awesome.
It does. But not only that, it's really good for you.
I don't like sauerkraut.
I know, whenever I mention it. And also, McKinnon, regarding probiotics and the sauerkraut juice, I want to say that it's the fermented foods, the Korean fermented food, the kimchi, for example. But we are also getting an excellent probiotic with the mother that is in the vinegar. Part of the enzymes do include, as partners with those enzymes, we've got probiotics. So, you take your liquid probiotic, your powdered probiotic, that'll be specific, but you're also getting a real good dose of it with your apple cider vinegar. And a friend of ours called over and said, well, he took some of the mother from the last of his Bragg's apple cider vinegar, put it in with some other apple cider vinegar that he had gotten that did not have the Bragg's, and it is now forming a new mother in there. And that's true. You can take it from one vinegar, put it into another, and the mother will continue to grow. Continue to grow. And by the way, the lifespan on these, there was a study that was done by a Nobel Prize winner, and this was back in the early 1900s. And what he was able to do was keep heart cells alive for over 35 years from the beneficial aspects of just adding apple cider vinegar into a water solution, had the heart cells in there, and come alive for 35 years.
Wow.
So the enzymic activity along with the probiotic, and again, probiotic keeps these biotic life forms going, which we are. So, real benefits to the probiotic. I have included 1 tablespoon of hemp seed oil or 1 tablespoon of fish oil. This is for the omega group, and the omega groups, again, very, very necessary to the correct function of our immune system. We used to get the omegas just like we used to get the probiotics, just like we used to get the minerals from our food sources, okay? Well, today they've been depleted. They get wiped out again by the chemistry of the chemtrails, so we've got to supplement them back into our systems. I have 2 to 4 tablespoons of hemp protein powder or whey protein powder. I have mixed in with hemp milk, almond milk, goat milk, or probiotics and aloe vera juice. The aloe vera juice, by the way, is an excellent addition. If you have an aloe vera plant, cut the leaves, strip the gel out of the center in there. The benefits are tremendous, and it does help support the correct probiotics. It actually is a great immune system defense for us. It enhances metabolism. If you don't have the plant, go ahead and get the gel or the flakes that you can order off of our site here. And by the way, I want everybody to understand you do have direct access to all of these products through our Chemtrail Remedies site. And please, everyone, take advantage of it. Now, why do I have hemp protein powder or whey protein powder? Number one, they are very, very assimilable, okay? In today's world, if you're eating any meat that we need as protein or fish, more than likely, unless it's organic and certified organic on the front, you're not getting the benefit of any of the proteins that, quote, should be available in there. With the hemp protein powder, the whey protein powder, these are bodybuilders' supplements, okay? You go down to the gym, you'll see the guys working out. They're not going to use soy, by the way, okay? And I want to underscore, no soy products. It is 100% GMO, okay? Even if it is organically grown, it's an organism, it's not a food source. Certainly not a good food source for any bodybuilding. We need the protein for correct muscle development in man or woman. And in today's world, you take a look out there, you can always tell the soy boys, and they will be quite different from those that are using the whey protein or the hemp protein powder. So it's very, very easy to assimilate in. Want to make sure you get a daily recommended dosage. And my recommended dosage is a minimum of 2 to 4 tablespoons. Doesn't have to go through all the breakdown properties that we have to go through with the meat and the fish. This generally not going to supply us with what we need anyway. Okay? I have 500 milligrams of turmeric or curcumin or curcumin. That's also another way. Now, I grew up pronouncing turmeric, okay? However, what's been shown is that, and these are in studies primarily done in India, okay? The turmeric is probably one of Mother Nature's best cardiovascular, antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial agents out there, okay? But what it also does in these studies that have been done, it will bond with aluminum, it'll bond with barium, it'll bond with strontium, and help eliminate it out of our systems. Now you see when the when the barium, the strontium, the aluminum come in, they displace all these other vital elements. For example, it'll displace the lithium that's necessary in our brains for correct modulation of the synaptic responses that have to take place in our brains. Those who eat turmeric, you're going to find that they will not have the aluminum. Therefore, they're not going to be susceptible to either the autism or the Alzheimer's. And they will have the turmeric, will take that out of their system. So eat food with curry. Learn your recipes where you can use turmeric or curcumin. Also acts as a tremendously effective anti-inflammatory. Okay, and inflammatory disease is running rampant today, and inflammation is something that can be debilitating to all of us. The turmeric will help balance that out, and it will also bond with these heavy metals that we're getting hit with.
Okay.
We want to add in another 1 to 2 teaspoons of diatomaceous earth, right? And again, that's to just help bond with those things that we're getting hit with, but it also acts in conjunction with the turmeric and with the liquid probiotic, with the hemp, with these proteins. The diatomaceous earth is going to help carry the nutritional supplement value of these other sources that we need. It's going to help carry it on their little silica magic carpets there, help carry it out to the body, to each and every individual cell that needs these things. But it's also going to continue to help to bond with these toxic heavy metal elements that we're getting hit with. So diatomaceous earth.
Let's talk for a second about the fact that there are 3 separate drinks, and they're pretty much, recommended 3 different times of the day. What's the reason for that?
Well, when I take a look at how things are going, how things are going to work throughout the day, I start out with that number 1 drink in the morning because it's liquid. You can put it together. It's going to give you those basic elements that we're going to need to make it through the rest of the day. Okay, so that we're going to have digestion take place. So later on the day, for example, drink number 2. When you take drink number 2 in, this is after you've already had your morning, and we want to get into the building of the vitamins. You want to make sure you got the right minerals and all that stuff coming in. So your drink number 2 is going to do that, and then later, and so you get first of all, you're starting out with your iodine, your hydrochloric acid, and your enzymes. Okay. Then you're going on over, and we're going to make sure that in number 2, you're going to get your vitamins, you're going to get your minerals, you're going to get those things that are necessary, your vitamin C, for example. But we're also going to start cleaning some of this stuff out. So we're going to have the clay, and we're going to have the diatomaceous earth. First drink in the morning, we're going to put those things in you need. Second drink, we're going to add in things you need, but we're also going to start bonding with stuff to get it eliminated out.
Now, the folks that leave in the morning to go to work, any reason why they can't just put this into some sort of a mixer and bring it to work all?
Sure can. Put it into a thermos bottle. Put it into a glass jar if you have to.
Sure.
Take it to work with you, and it's not going to break down. It's not going to go bad on you. In fact, if you don't use it today, it'll still be good for you day after tomorrow or 5 years from now.
So what would you say? Maybe a few hours apart, minimum on each drink?
Yeah, I'd give at least an hour, hour and a half apart. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are on a very precise, rigorous schedule. Others are a little more open to it and to variations on their time schedule. So work it into your daily routine, however best helps you.
Okay.
And again, to finish off on number 3 there, some hydrochloric acid, okay? Because again, and you can also add in just your apple cider vinegar drink. That is good any time during the day. Okay? So you can do it morning, noon, and night.
Okay.
And sometimes that's what we do in our household. We'll have one, we'll have two. We look outside, we see we're getting hit real hard with the spraying. Go inside, mix up your apple cider vinegar with your honey in some warm water, add some iodine on into it. I have some people that also add chlorophyll into it at that time. That's fine. And drink it on down.
Now, when they're spraying, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but I'll ask. This morning they were spraying at 10 o'clock in the morning here. How long do you think it takes for those compounds to reach us to the point where we would be breathing it?
Well, the way they were spraying us this morning, that was probably, it was at what we consider to be a low altitude. Usually the spraying is taking place somewhere between 30 and 35,000 feet. Okay. This morning, the bombers were over us, the B-1s, and they were at an altitude I would say was not in excess of 15,000 feet. That means that we were probably feeling the effects of it within 20 minutes. Okay? Okay. So, now what we also have to understand is these things have now become a part of our atmosphere. We used to be able to look out and see, especially up here in Montana, you saw those big, beautiful blue skies. We called it big sky country, big blue skies. Well, now when you look out, seems to be a haze in the air. Seems to be kind of a whitish, yellowish tinge to it, almost like there's smoke out there. Well, that's the barium, strontium, aluminum, folks. And so we don't really have to wait now for it to come down. It's in the atmosphere all the way. But when you get sprayed like we did earlier today from a low altitude, like 15,000 feet, you probably have about 20 minutes before you're going to directly feel the impact of it.
So stay out of it.
Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Take your supplements. Okay. This is the way we fight back. We have to recognize that we can avoid the GMO foods. We can drink the water that's been purified or comes out of our well, but it's pretty tough to stay out of the atmosphere because we've got to breathe it. And when you see this level of spraying taking place, it's best to stay indoors, okay? Because you're just going to be challenging it, and we're not really up to that challenge. So what you want to do is get indoors, get your pets indoors, get your children indoors. It's not the time to be going out and doing the run, okay?
Yep.
And do up your supplement drink. Try to keep the anger under control, which is becoming more and more difficult to do, because we're all feeling the toxic effects of this. And, when we look up there, we know that this is being sponsored and promulgated upon us by government, okay? This is not the result of some terrorist activity. This is not a foreign nation. This is not a foreign country. This is being perpetrated upon us by our own. And that certainly raises more than a level of frustration inside. The way we fight back is by saying, okay, we recognize this, get indoors, make sure you take these supplements in, and you will be available for tomorrow. Right?
Now, Richard, before we go into the nighttime supplements, I'm going to I'll break this into a third part since we're coming up on the hour here, and we'll keep this one under the hour. So we'll just go ahead and continue here, but for those who are listening right now, the rest of this is going to be in part 3.